course we're all upset and not happy right now because we're not used to functioning like this. Like we didn't really consider we were in our own world because we had to be, and that worked well for us because we were working. Like we weren't interested in causing a fight, and we were told that we had to be emotional about something that we didn't give a shit about because we didn't have any business there. So the fact that we're involving a business where there is no business is why we're running into this same issue. So what that tells me is I'm running into an issue that isn't giving me any business. There's no business for me there. I have to move somewhere else or I have to find another way. Like that's all it really is. Like it's nothing personal, but that is I mean it's just that simple. Either way, I mean I'm still out of the work. I'm still far behind in what I was trying to do. So like that all has to be recovered and like I have to just get back to like my true nature. But when you have people like that around you who simply just like don't hear what you're saying when you're saying like we're not willing to do that work, it gets old. What they're trying to do is permit the woman from being able to have a cycle. Like we have to look at it that way. Like we're talking about a survival of the fittest. So like not only are we defending who we are and like where we come from, but like if the problem is we always say like go big or go home, like that's something that we say religiously, right? Like we say go big or go home. So when we find ourselves as white people in America struggling against this sort of battle, it is really important to understand what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do, and what moves we have to go from here. The only good thing that I can say about that is we do have history, and from my perspective, right. Well, from my perspective, like I've been put in situations where I had to, like, it's a vague subject, but those vague subjects, like, how do we make that less vague? Like, how can we like fix that? Because I'm only speaking from my perspective. Like, you might have a completely different perspective, but like at the end of the day, like we're still the same type of person. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain. Right. No, that's called absolutely not. Like that's knowing when it's appropriate. That is common sense. That is physical behavior. That is respecting the decision to be aware of one's natural environment enough to not physically attract something that is going to destruct it later by some foolish like ill intented of whatever the case may be. Like you're not going to subject yourself to something that's going to destroy you on purpose. So when things like that arise that become destructive, it becomes a serious matter for everybody because you have to wonder, well, where did that information come from? Well, what made that weakness prevalent and where was the imbalance to allow an infraction? Does that make sense? So I mean, it's a big deal. It just like it depends how it's handled. It's a big deal to me because it's now gotten to a place where it's creating less and less of a satisfying atmosphere. Like I'm watching things get way out of control, and there's really not much that can be done about it because there's so little information on the matter. And the only good thing that I have to say about that is we're not supposed to be using computers anyway. But in this situation, me without a computer, all I have is my name, and my name isn't as good as some other names.
better and better.
You have to pay. You pay for those services. You find the people who are capable and you pay for their service. Thank you. That was fun. I need a lot more than just that. Like I need a whole everything. What about it? 3 years. That was 5 years. 5 years ago? 3 years. 4 years. No, I said I'm down to 2 days. What the prism? Absolutely. I did say that. I just don't know if it's relative to this conversation at the moment. Absolutely. I agree. The interesting part of a copper penny at this point, thanks. I I wasn't 100% certain. There's a portion of me that's unable right now to get connected with the human body to remember what somebody else is remembering right now. Like there's a piece of my body that is not connected to that type of relationship or reaction time. And that's what I'm trying to figure out how to fix that. All right. Right. Oh, because we were talking about uranium. Well, that's not a good thing. It might not be uranium. We were talking about the periodic table of elements. Either way, that isn't a significant source of information anymore as we speak. Because let me explain to you. Well, first and foremost, let me just explain one thing to you. We're no, but like as people, for sure. As we know, we as people who are like-minded and self-aware of who we are and what we are will naturally connect with who we're supposed to naturally connect to, whether we want to or not, on an magnetic field that is created from however we set up our day, like whatever the case may be, whether it's natural not natural, however it is, we become connected in a spherical level through each relationship. Let's just put it that way. So, because we are similar into what we're doing, I do believe that we do fall back to our origin, like our original state of mind and our original state of people, but we don't have to disclose that information. And there are laws that do state certain bits of information against letting out, what all those details are. So that's specific to family, I suppose. So whose responsibility is it? I shouldn't say whose, because women are not supposed to be asking questions. For sure. And I agree with you. And I believe you completely. Like that's great. Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, there could be a reason why some of that information is not all the way clear as it needs to be, but it's up to us as an entire planet to figure out what those disconnects are and make sure that they're remedied and can be connected or answered in some way, shape, or form, whether or not we intended them to not be 100% correct right away. Like we still have the ability to get to the bottom line however we need to. And that's our responsibility as the United States of America to make sure that we do that, and then we get to all move forward anyway. Like it has nothing to do with a specific, you know, race or religion or whatever. But I do think that hmm, which is not a bad idea either way. But this is the other thing that I do want to make apparent because we are in a situation at this point. And I shouldn't say it's a situation. I think we highlight things that we want to and we don't highlight things that we don't want to. But you know that like we are technically like I've been in this like realm of oh this is made in America. Like I'm big about made in America because I don't really want to use anything that's made in China. Not because I don't like China, but because I was brought up to not like things made in China. That was instructed to me as a baby. So now that I'm older, it resonated with me. So I that's what I believed in. But now that's not as important to my mom anymore, which is fine. But I know that in her true nature, it is important. So it's important to me to make sure that I respect that decision because I can alert her on that cue that she needs to value that original state and decision of mine. Correct? Are we correct with that? All right. So, although it's really annoying and it might be super frustrating, the most important thing is that she recovers that state of mind and goes back to that original state of thinking and decides for herself, you're right, Lauren, China is not what I want to be doing. Then we can go back to our original plan, which was just to simply ignore China and stick with what we love to sell because that makes the most sense for us. And the reason that it makes the most sense for us is because it's what we respected when we decided that we wanted to sell. So we're just going to respect that naturally without having to argue about it. So it has nothing to do with the fact that there are like we've made that decision already. Like there's no need to decide any other decision. That's just the rule that we've made. So I find it I mean there's nothing wrong with that. We just decided we're only willing to do one set of things. So I find that people respect that level of boundary much greater than somebody who's willing to jeopardize what they've decided against just to go along with everything else. Like I find that our strength is in those decisions. So regardless of what our race is or who we are, where we come from and what state or what however we're living, as long as somebody has those values established, I could care less what they decide to sell or how they decide to sell it, as long as they just remain true to that nature. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, so although all that that so what's the other like what's the other objective that somebody could throw at me is that I'm just creating that out of in denial. There's potential that that's created from denial. All right. But like what am I supposed to do about that? Like, okay, so we're made in America. Should I be paying extra tribute to, like, it didn't occur to me naturally in my state of mind to give more credit to Erica's in the world than other people because of the similarities in in the formation of America. Well, for sure. Well, right, because it's up to us to establish these rights on our own, but we do have the ability to enable ourselves to, and it depends. That depends. I mean, learning about these things that comes with time. I mean, that comes with dedication, interest. Like there is a certain sense of interest that does go along with that. Like you do have to be well, it's up to parents to be able to interest their children in ways that can lead them to the correct pasture. But we don't ever know for sure who we're going to turn out to be. We always have that I mean, I wouldn't say we always have that fear, but there's always a chance that our Mhm. Right. Well, right. So, I mean, right. So we all have these things that happen in life, and we all have to go through these same things, these same obstacles, these same challenges. But the scale of those obstacles and challenges is what can be controlled. But they're still the same. Like they're still all the same. I guess it's more or less like when you come about receiving them, that can all change, but that's just called a coming of age. And I have realized that most of these things are coincidental. Like, there's a lot of things that I feel like we can build. And again, some of that might be denial, but like for me, like with my set of information, like I set my own scale. I know I use a tape measure for my scale, so I use the most standard form of measurement in inches. Whether or not that be the closest thing to my identity, like me being born in June 7th, is not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is that that's the standard measure. That's what I'm going to go by, and I'm not going to take it personally. Like, why? No, don't feel bad. That's alright. That's alright. You don't owe me anything. Either way, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of like how we get our people to the same level of consciousness that matters the most, because that is our responsibility, whether we want to believe it or not. We do have that sole responsibility to make sure people have that opportunity in life. And that's my decision. And that might be true. Like there might be people who could argue me against that, but for me, I have always believed that every person deserves to have a chance at enlightenment. That's called enlightenment. That's not something that you can take from somebody. That's something that you can give for free. I mean, I shouldn't even, it is for free. I mean, it's not like it takes a long, I shouldn't say that. Like anybody can do it, but once it's done, the amount of work that gets relieved from both sides of that situation is worth the effort. I don't know. I just feel like it's like that's how you build relationships, and that's what creates for the next level of relationship to move on to the next level. I don't know. It's a pain in the ass sometimes, but it gets the job done. Yeah, because it changes. I mean, and it doesn't have to change, but in the event, I mean, it's just, I guess, like being able to accept change if it does come. Like that's again, who knows? It's inevitable. That's what they say. Change is inevitable. Right. Bertucci's. I have been to a place. I've had pizza. That's amazing. They're they have a pretty like the crust in there is pretty decent. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It just keeps things in it, and I mean, it just made things whatever. For me, it was an out of sight, out of mind connection. I don't know. It once again, like I will say, like there needs to be more of a craving. Like I could use more craving for Bartucci. Like I could use like a yeah. I'm in Philly. Oh, I don't eat any of that meat because I do my best not to eat any meat at all. Believe it or not, for sure. What part? Well, I'll eat. I had salmon this evening, which was a little bit farther than I wanted to go, but I was craving white rice. I was craving the starch of white rice, and it tasted. It was matching my hairstyle, but there's something in it that's not agreeing with me. Like I have to be more careful. A lot of the food that I've been eating has come from the 7-Eleven up here in the city, which is more convenience food than anything. And there is like a height difference. Like there's a slope in the city that you can notice. Like I mean a slope, like going downhill, it creates a steepness in the ground that ends up creating pockets that can do funky different things depending on how they're evaluated, I guess. And the food, this like the texture of the food there is not the most pleasant, and the building that I'm in right now isn't standing up to my level of like what I would want to see. I don't know, like there's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, like I just miss where it was for sure. But a lot of that also has to do with the automotive interest in the automotive uh industry. So like for most of the time cars are a lot like I mean cars are a lot like anything that we function with. Everything has a computer. We know what I was realizing was that well not only do I think well either way. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Mhm. It is. Yeah. Well, one of those cards happened to get knocked from my fingertips. I have to be careful. My sister's a pretty tricky one. So she's been like in this mindset where she has to fight for everything that I am, essentially, when she has her own beautiful identity. So I don't know why she needs to have mine too. Yeah, we all do. They're fantastic. However, it's unacceptable to create such a friction against something that's supposed to be working for us because it's creating an unhealthy relationship to survive to what we need to function and what we're trying to actually accomplish as an end result. So we're creating a force field. Well, it's just not sending the message that things are suitable for the same style of living under these circumstances. So what's going to happen in that situation is somebody's going to come and take over, whether it be a natural occurrence or a human occurrence or whatever the case may be, but it's going to be a function or force that's going to simply annihilate whatever else is bothering it. And then there's going to be nothing that can be said. So there's really not any reason. Pretty much. Like there's just simply no reason to get upset about anything. So I just don't see the point in fighting over something that's so and like that's just so to me there's so much more things that we could be doing with that desire to discover than creating a stand like a meltdown. Like it just if you had a baby and you only told that baby no forever and you purposefully took all of the baby's years from the baby to prevent the baby from childhood, that's eliminating the nurture of an innocent form that could have been any form in the entire world. And if the only form of literature that you're using to decide the fate of that child is the Bible, then there's really nothing else in the world that ever had to be studied. So it should be a really easy translation. Well, why would you want to do either? Like, I mean, why would you want to kill something that you're given to build your life or to build? But that's not the best option. You're gonna wipe the shit out of the problem. I mean, you're gonna get rid of the shit. You're not gonna add to the shit. There is a way. It, yeah, and you have children for sure. I have been pregnant before, but it no, I have not been that close where I haven't been able to walk. That's good. Yeah, no, I love making love. Making love is the way to go for sure. I love making love. Not yet. That's the kids come at the most. No, it has nothing to do with it. Kids kids come when they're ready. I agree. But that's the thing, like, when you love the idea of becoming a parent, children just come because that's fantastic and appreciated. But when you abuse the form, like when you abuse the right of a child and the form of a child and what that child is supposed to be giving you when it is given to the earth and to you in your hands, like then you're opening, that's what's really opening it. That's what makes it so unsettling. Can you imagine as a woman having to swallow that form of pressure all day, every day? Like that negative attitude about what a child is meant to give you and the relationship that you're going to have to that child and what it's capable of being before it's even occurred. Like, I can't stand that level of thinking. That level of thinking to me means you've already made up your mind that there's something that's just not worth your level of time. So then why even consider having more of that conversation? Like, that's where it just ends, and there's never a conversation that comes from that ever again. Like, there's just, it's just done there. Squat, boom, gone. Like, that's never a fear that you will have to have in my life as long as you're in it, regardless of whether or not you think I'm capable of having a child, because I wouldn't allow you to have to like I wouldn't put you in a situation where that would be your life forever. Ew. Like, I promise you. Correct. However, there's a lot, I mean, yeah, I can, that's a good point. Um Thank you. Well, right. So either way, um it's important that we make sure that that's the message that we're sending across. That's just for me. I just don't like hearing that type of pressure on a child because it doesn't feel good on me. I can't imagine it being easy to bring a child into the world with that feeling of that child not being welcome. So when that person has that thought, I just want to remove that person immediately from my space because that will never bring, like, I mean, even if a child did come out of that situation, I have no idea. Like, again, that would be an act of God that would be out of my control anyway. So why would I sit here and like, what would I be doing? I just know that, like, if I had the ability to prevent hell, if I had the chance, I would probably just avoid hell. I mean, to the most, I mean, I shouldn't say that. For the most part, considering I'm born in June and I'm, after the 6th, so there is an element of hell in where I live. So I just don't think I would do it again. Like, I'm pretty sure I just wouldn't do it again. Like, I don't even know. I just know that whatever life that I gave birth to here, the next level of life is going to be that much better as long as I continue to have that type of recognition in where I'm at. Like, like it's just not worth not noticing. But not all of us are capable of doing that. So, I mean, just a matter of respecting that ability and knowing when our times are up. I don't even know. I like what you're saying. I respect all of the things that you're saying and I'm open to all of those things. Um I want all of those things. Thank you. I agree. Um It's been a really long time since I mean, I when I say, like, how we kind of like we leave our options open to an extent because we're always looking for that thing that's gonna like make I shouldn't say make or break, but like just give us that extra like form of whatever it is that we're thinking. Yeah, like whatever it is. But like lately, like I will say, especially because of all the things that have gone on in the world, like there's extra of everything. Like it could be simplified so much more. And I'm not perfect, like I overdo things all the time. But like I still want to have like the best chance at whatever it is to come. Like I don't want to give up on all the things that I believe in just because. Yeah, I completely follow. I need to figure out what that is for me so that I can get to work and be doing something that's functioning and producing for me all the time so I never have to have that type of feeling again. Does that make sense? Like I'm still waiting for me to have a consistent form of effort all day every day so that I don't ever have to wonder like, well, what am I going to do for the next half an hour? Like I want to know that I can support whatever I'm doing and create a steady form of income to supply me with whatever is going to come next and needing to come next. Or you know what I'm saying? So, like, if I at this point, like, I all I care about is being around people, like, there's nothing worse than having to sit and do things by yourself. Like, and I mean, I shouldn't say that, like, there's a portion of our life that does need some form of I shouldn't say need, but can be capable of doing things alone, but I shouldn't say that. I don't really think that there's ever a need to be alone. Like, there's really never a purpose to sit alone and not have a solution. If you ever find, in fact, I'm going to change that. As a parent, when I have a baby, because I'm missing my dog, I can't even have my dog in my apartment right now because I'm that ridiculous. No, that's Catherine. No, I do not have pickles. I don't even really. To be honest with you, Toby, Katie Toby, she has pit bulls. I have not ever they might not be I don't know what they are. I have a Maltese Yorkie. She is very little, but I'm interested in other dogs too. Like I would like to introduce another dog to her before time is up. Like, I haven't even been able to cross that bridge with someone yet. Like, that's so ridiculous to me
네.
that I don't have another
She
dog
told
and
her
that
told her
she's not
right.
here with me in the city. Like, I'm very sensitive about that. Um, because I wanted to raise her, and I want her to be in a world where she gets to experience things with me without feeling stressed.
Heal me! My health returns.
A Range Rover, a Land Rover. Landlord? That's a Well, yeah, it just makes it more difficult to get things done. It just makes it more difficult to get what you need done at the end of the day. Like, it's just something that you don't wanna have to deal with that type of miscommunication because it's not real. For what? No,
I'm
no, it's
wounded.
because of yeah, no. No, like, I agree. Thank you. Yeah, no, thanks. That means a lot to me. Um, yeah, it's not fun to lose connection. I've been, like, such a flake because of that. Like I said, like, I think I've been, like, leaving way too many doors open in the hopes that, like, I'm gonna find this, like, perfect magical relationships that's gonna solve all my problems, but, like, all I really need to do is just find a boyfriend, settle down, have a kid, and focus on what I wanna do.
I am wounded.
Right, I know. Mhm. That's not I shouldn't say that, like, nah. YOLO. Oh gosh, those are the days. I love those days. Those are like my favorite pastimes. I love YOLO. Well, that makes sense. Primary, secondary. I know. Yeah, well, that's why you don't do the same thing twice. What's YOLO? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I can dig that. I can fuck with that. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I can resonate with that. Am I gonna give it my everything for all of my life? Probably not, but I will give it like my best effort as a friend. But no, like I'm looking for something much more. Like I'm looking for like settling down, like creating roots. Like that's what I'm looking for. I'm not getting any older any faster. I'm not getting any younger any faster, I should say. I'm only gonna be getting older at this point. So I do want to make those decisions. But like right. But I mean, you're absolutely right. So now it's just a matter of like, okay, well, with all that being said, like I don't want to waste any more time on myself. Like I can only get any better than I can. Like I mean, I can't get much better than I already am any faster. Like the only way that it's gonna get easier is if I find somebody who I am vaguely attracted to, who can like hang out with me while I just like live life and end up like being cool and chill enough to adapt that like on the same level. Right. Like exactly. For absolute good reason. So, yeah, so I have a lot of little things in life that I have a lot of work that needs to be done. Um, but like there's a lot of explanation that has been without me for far too long, and I don't have enough resources giving me information that I need. Like I should have people giving me information all day every day on ways to get to the bottom line to all of these problems to implement a better standing, like a better letter a better truest version of self, like discovery, because that's what I'm about and that's what I'm for and that's recognizable. um Either way, I don't really wanna waste any more time. Like, the my biggest concern is, with all of that being said, I need to figure out how to make money, and I need to figure out how to make money, like, yesterday with the little bit of information that I know, only because, like, I have to pay my bills, like, I need to figure out, like, a better way. And I really want what I really I really want somebody to take it seriously. No, I'm 32 years old and I'm only going to get this one chance at life to figure out how to make money. Like there's no more excuse. Like I need somebody to like grill. I need drill sergeant. I don't even remember. I mean it was like yeah. Well, right. Well, no, like I know what I'm worth. Well, it's not that I'm not getting enough. I'm not getting no, you're right. I'm not getting enough, but I'm not getting it's not even that I'm not getting like the money is not enough. I'm not getting enough of like the interaction to like be proficient. And like first off, like in the event that anything were to ever happen, like the last thing you want to do is see people out of their business. Like I would be in the basement on a computer finding something to do to stay connected to my job as long as possible, as long as we stay together through all of the storms, because that's what you do. And at the end of the day, it becomes worth it no matter how hard the challenge of it was. Like you bounce around and you find a job in that field and you just stick it out for as long as possible, no matter what. Like there's nothing that can ever go wrong as long as you stick at it. But my company decided not to do that. So now I'm in a position where I don't have that option open to me the way that I'm used to. What do I do from here? Because I need that type of, I mean, like, that's the idea. Like, that's what I believe in. So what do I do? How do I reach out and how do I get those jobs to get an income coming in without, losing any more time. Like, it needs to be proficient, it needs to happen professionally, and it needs to be like a forever thing, especially because I'm trying to go back to school. Like, how do we get these things done so that I'm not saying, oh, well, like, let me just continue to mooch off my mom and make more stress for her. Like, no, like, I need to be able to get my own income. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I do this? And what if I don't want to use my cell phone? Like, why do I have to use my cell phone? I have education. I just don't have all of my courses yet. But that should not stress me out. Like, I live in Philly. That's the last thing on earth that I want to do. In fact, I studied for it already. That's what I'm saying. Like, I love, okay, so what, let me just go back to that. First off, there's a reason that I don't love life insurance. Do I believe in life insurance? Do I think we all need it and we want to buy it? Of course we want to buy it, but if we buy it, then we have to sell it. It is. You're not kidding. That's what I'm saying. Like, this has not been fun. This has been the most, like, challenging everything ever. But of course it is. Like, there's only All right. I, for sure. I I agree. That's a very good way of putting it. Either way, like it needs to get done. Like I need to get my dog here and I need to be able to cover my bills. I need to get school done. Like all of those things come included in one big old package. And I love the insurance company idea. Like there's nothing wrong with that form of learning nor like making money that way. But there are so many other tests that I can take with that same structure of learning that interests me so much more that I feel like would just be better and more conducive. Like, I don't really want to go down any more negative pathways. Like, I don't really need to focus on what's going to cause death. So, let me just go back to rephrasing. So, if I'm selling death, all right. So, you know how, like, we always say we give to get. Is that correct? All right. So, I'm not going to give people death. Why would I sell death? Not selling death. You wanna sell yeah, so you have a baby is the only solution. Have a baby having a baby is the only solution to to this problem. That's thank you. Well, why would you assume that you would be sitting at home? Like, that would never happen. What? Finish your statement. All of the above. Yeah, like, you wanna make sure you're tip top shape for sure. I know, and, like, I got spoiled. I shouldn't I purposefully spoil the shit out of myself. Yes. It's plus minus for me. I like that form of communication that works well. Either way, cool. So now we have a basis or a way we can stand our ground in a universal language, which is good. Now, what do I do with it? Yeah, we make one. You make one. You find a format and you just and exactly. Protecting the country is a really good idea. Not letting people from other countries sway us in any direction. But the overall thing that we're trying to, I think, like the like the biggest part of this to remember is that we want things to be beautiful. So how do I make things more beautiful? Like I want to be building mosaic pieces, but I don't want shitty mosaic pieces. I want the best mosaic pieces. And my body can tell when something's the best and when it's not the best. That's why we do what we do and that's what we're used to and that's what we're picking up on is we like, oh, we know what that excellence is. We've had that before. We need to stick to that light because that's what provides our body with the most nutrients and that's what's going to keep us going forever because there's history involved. just like in our memory glands and however we are, like that's just the way it works. Um, yeah, I hear it. Either way, like the most important thing is like I've been without my car for so long and like though having those rights restored will be so fantastic. So I need to like come up with a plan. No, I'm fine. I just need to get my bills paid. I know, but I'm just not making any money, so I'm feeling very overwhelmed. The pressure on me is ridiculous. Like it will just be so much better once I have this figured out. So like if I can just figure out a way to say like this is what I'm doing for work, this is what I know is going to be coming in, like I can expect this. This is what I like can build from. At least I'm self-reliant and I don't have to spend any more time fudging. Like I feel like if I don't have that under my belt, like all I'm doing is just making up lies. Like that's not where I want to be. Like I want to be like this is who I am, this is what I come from, this is what I came to do. Why isn't that being like why isn't that being represented properly is what I'm trying to figure out. Because that's literally like it is all that I don't even know. It's all that I do. It's just not being represented properly. So what do I do and how do I make that into something that can actually bring money to my door so that it makes sense for everybody. Like, how do I create this need? I'm stuck in this out of work phase. Yeah, but like, okay, so that stuff comes naturally to me. And the reason that I love that it comes naturally to me is because I know it's in the present moment and there's going to be a need for it somewhere, somehow, because it's coming naturally and it's just an instinct. So as long as I keep at it and I just do it anyway and I push myself really hard to just get it done and explore whatever opportunities arise from that occasion, I know that there's something to be obtained out of that result. So, like, that's the positive. So there is a plus side, but like it's not giving me like it's not the only negative is the people around me are incapable of having that type of flexibility in their thought process and they just create negative like responses. Like there's just so much negative response to that type of like I don't even know. Like they're not helping me like figure out a way to channel a positive reaction with the fact that that's what's like the style of learning that I have, or to say like, hey, you know what, Lauren, like we need to quickly pick up what generic answer. Okay, well, how do we get out of this generic answer and create a professional response into a professional career? Like, how do we figure out how to do that? Like, how do I draw a professional line and say, let's heighten this form of information and direct it to something that's going to actually give me what I need? Like, I was. Well, why would you want to see a fail? Like, why would you want to see the failure? Because there is a portion of information that isn't being transmitted to whatever the design is asking for. Does that make sense? So, yeah, like there's an ignorance there. There's a weakness that has not been fixed. You're right. I agree. You're right. That's a beautiful way of looking at it. I know that. I just don't know where, like, I don't know what that's gonna be. Like, okay, so that's great, but that's not answering, okay, well, how do I accept that reality, still use the fact that, okay, well, I've had great accomplishments in the sales process. Like, I've been able to accomplish all of the things that I've needed to accomplish. But what is the world really asking for me to do? And even if the world's asking for me to do those things, like, what do I, like, what does it matter to me? Like, I would rather just do what I want to do. But no one's helping me, like, I shouldn't say it, like, it's a lot of pressure, number 1, like, there's a lot of uncertainty there, like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and there's a lot of fun that can be had, but, like, wha when is somebody gonna give me a solution that actually works? Like, I don't really wanna hear the run anymore, like, somebody needs to have a job that actually pays, that gives me what I need, and serves a purpose, that actually solves problems, and does what it's supposed to do because it works, and it's perfect, and it's what the world's asking. So, I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect is with why we're not getting to that level of agreement faster. So who do I need to talk to and what do I need to do? Well, I've sent my transcripts in this college so I can get to college if I really want to. But like, do I really care that? I mean, which is great. But what can I do in the meantime? Like, how am I supposed to, especially when the world is shut down in COVID? Like, the whole world shut down in COVID where we could not get to a library even if we wanted to because of whatever reason. And why can't somebody just give me an idea? Like, if somebody's already done it before, why aren't they able to assist me in a better way of thinking before it takes too long? So, like, like, no one was able to see anything positive that they could use in any other way? Like, as a manager, when you're in a manager's seat or position, you recognize those skills in people right away so you can put them where they belong because you know if you don't, they're not going to get the best out of their job. And so why is that I'm just saying, like, it's just common sense. But like I applied to like an auto body place to see if I could get some job stuff done there. But even that, like, that's not a perfect fit. And I do like working with computers, but like I do think that I need to do something that's a little bit like more specific. Like and outlined. Like, I don't really want to bounce around on Craigslist looking for work on there. I want somebody to have an idea or something that they've really thought a lot about and want to succeed. It's like no one I no one actually wanted to get any of the things that I care about done, or they would have. I don't know. But, like, there does I mean, that becomes, like, frustrating and redundant, and I care a lot about that, like, I care a lot about the fact that things can be broken and be destroyed, and, like, there are errors in design, like, all of that does make a difference because it can be fixed, and that's, like, the only thing I ever really wanted to do, but, like, all I mean, it's just gonna take, like that would take, like, a level of pushing that I'm capable of doing and I have no problem doing, and it's just is that gonna be, like, the solution that I wanna like, there's other ways that I feel like would give more of, like, what I'm looking for, and, like, that's not where I wanna end up forever. I could eat Chinese food for the rest of my life and study in a